8th century BC, a Greek ship scrapes into the shallows of southern Italy. Overloaded with jars, tools, and families, men jump into waist-deep water to drag the hull ashore before the surf smashes it open. Turning back means dying at sea, and no one on this dark coastline is guaranteed to welcome them. Why take such a gamble? Back in the Greek homeland, limited land and scarce resources were triggering widespread hardship. This desperation, mixed with the promise of trade and status abroad, drove separate ventures to seek a new life across the Ionian Sea. These early arrivals established permanent cities like Cumae on the Italian mainland. These settlements rapidly transitioned from isolated beachheads into major centers of culture, acting as the first permanent Greek footprints in the region. This shift from desperate refugees to organized city builders created a new urban center of gravity that would eventually pull every local tribe into its orbit. This map shows the scale of expansion. Waves of Greeks followed, establishing a dense chain of city-states along the southern coastline. Known as Magna Graecia, or Greater Greece, these hubs grew wealthy, controlling maritime trade routes connecting the Italian peninsula to the wider Mediterranean. The settlers brought the Euboean alphabet with them, providing the writing system that local tribes used to develop their own alphabets. This ignited a process of Hellenization, where native communities adopted Greek art, religion, and daily habits. By spreading their language and systems of organization, the Greeks provided the technological and cultural framework for the very civilizations that would one day march south to claim these territories. During the 6th and 5th centuries BC, Magna Graecia reached the height of its influence. Its fertile farmland produced large food surpluses, allowing its cities to become some of the most prosperous in the Western Mediterranean. The city of Sybaris became the face of this luxury. Ancient accounts claim its inhabitants were so dedicated to comfort that they built underground pipes to transport wine from rural vineyards directly into city cellars to ensure the music and entertainment never stopped. To the south lay the rival city of Croton. In 530 BC, the philosopher Pythagoras settled there, and his followers gained immense political influence, promoting a strict, orderly lifestyle focused on mathematics, science, and physical discipline. This ideological divide turned into a political crisis when hundreds of exiled Sybarites sought refuge in Croton. When Croton refused to hand them over, the two superpowers were drawn into a war over territorial disputes and wounded pride. In 510 BC, Croton's disciplined army, led by the Olympic champion Milo, marched into Sybaris. They completely destroyed the wealthy city of Sybaris, bringing its era of splendor to a sudden, violent end. The Greeks held a monopoly on regional trade and controlled the most fertile plains in the west, but their internal rivalries ensured those resources were used to destroy one another rather than defend the region. While the Greek cities fought each other, two external threats were closing in. Carthaginian settlements dominated western Sicily, while the rising Roman Republic began consolidating its control over central Italy. Sicily became a battlefield for 3 centuries of Greco-Punic wars. Wealthy cities like Akragas were sacked and looted as both sides fought for control of the island's lucrative trade routes and farmland. On the mainland, the Greek cities faced a manpower shortage. They possessed immense financial assets, but struggled to match the sheer number of warriors fielded by rival Italic groups like the Lucanians and Bruttians. Desperate for security, cities like Thurii invited the Roman Republic to intervene. In the mid-280s BC, the Romans placed military garrisons inside the city walls to act as bodyguards against local invasions. It was a strategic surrender. Accepting a Roman garrison meant giving the Republic control over the city's foreign policy. The Greeks had traded their long-term independence for immediate physical protection. Tarentum, a proud Spartan colony, refused to submit quietly. When Roman ships entered their waters in 282 BC, the Tarentines attacked, triggering the Pyrrhic Wars, the final major attempt to halt the Roman advance. They called on King Pyrrhus of Epirus, who arrived with 25,000 elite warriors and war elephants. Pyrrhus won significant battles, but he could not match Rome's ability to replace its fallen legions. By 272 BC, Tarentum finally fell. The end came during the Second Punic War, when cities like Syracuse and Tarentum tried to restore their freedom by siding with Hannibal. The Roman response was brutal. They recaptured the cities, looted their treasures, and sold tens of thousands of Greeks into slavery. By 201 BC, the political and military independence of Magna Graecia was gone. The independent city-states were replaced by a single administrative system controlled by Rome. While Roman legions occupied the cities, Greek culture performed a quiet reversal. As the Romans looted Greek art and enslaved Greek scholars, they began rebuilding their own elite society using Greek blueprints. The visual landscape of the Roman world was reshaped by Greek architecture and artistic styles. Roman religion adopted Greek gods, and the Roman elite viewed an education in Greek philosophy as the ultimate mark of status. This influence outlasted the Roman government itself. After the Western Empire collapsed, Byzantine rule in the south and new waves of migration kept the Greek language and Eastern Christian traditions alive in Italy for centuries. That legacy persists today in the Greco peoples of Calabria and Apulia. These minority communities still speak a unique form of Greek, acting as a living bridge to the world that once lined these coastlines. Magna Graecia was never truly erased. The settlers who arrived in the dark 2,800 years ago built a culture so resilient that it outlived their cities, ultimately conquering the minds of the Romans who claimed their land.